it finally does happen, then I'm sure that we'll all get to see it. But I'm not going to hold my breath for it, that's for sure. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket, because I've been guilty of doing that before, and then these fights don't happen, and then I end up in a massive depression and feel like killing myself. So I'm not gunning to say, oh, this fight's definitely happening in May, June, August, whenever. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, I can't do anything about it.
What's good, family? Smash the like button and subscribe. So we just heard there from Tyson Fury going in some detail about how the fight ain't gonna happen. Now, before we go into these actual comments, let me say Eddie Hearn put a message out saying, there's some venue, all wishy-washy stuff. End of the day, yeah, let me remind you, man, it's gone quick, but it's now Monday. The Monday coming, not yesterday, Monday coming is 28 days. It's done. This should be wrapped up. Normally, these 28-day things mean, 14 days in, it'll be all wrapped up. This is going to the line, and I don't think it's coincidence. They should be announcing it by now. You know what I mean? These 28-day things, they're not meant to be it's not meant to be deadline driven, 28 days is supposed to be just formality. It's all wrapped. That's just almost like a legal definition. 28 days. It's not meant to be. It gets done on the 28th day. No. We'll find out anyway. Not long to wait. 5 days. We'll find out. Eddie Hearn saying we're getting close to venue. Close to venue should be wrapped up. The final thing should be getting ironed out. And if it's coming so close to the deadline, it's not a good sign, in my opinion. Because if you haven't even secured a venue yet, that tells me that Team Fury haven't even been able to decline that. Does that make sense? For example, let's say you found a venue. That doesn't mean the fight's on now. That doesn't mean that the 28-day thing's secured. That means you found a venue. Then both your teams have to agree on all the other rubbish. The venue's the last of your problem. Getting them man to agree to it. Do you understand? Eddie Hearn finding a venue to stage this fight is the very easiest part of this whole equation, in my opinion. The hardest part, and the only part that matters, is getting Fury to lock in. Now, people may be saying, YB, what do you mean? If Fury didn't want this fight, he wouldn't have signed the 28-day business. He wouldn't have signed the 2-fight contract. I argued the opposite. Publicly speaking, and for their reputation's sake, Team Fury had to sign the 2-fight agreement. Because if they didn't, that just proves they don't want no smoke. But when you listen and analyse and deduct their response following the signing the 2-fight deal, it becomes apparent of their actual strategy. Their strategy is, yes, we'll sign the 2-fight contract, and then the next stage will decline. Because by signing the first part, a lot of the casual and low IQ fans will say, what you on about? Fury didn't duck, he signed it. It just shows it's the venue. And when you listen carefully to the narrative, it all fits nicely. We'll sign this, and then in the 4 weeks, we'll put out a narrative. The venues. What have we heard them complain about? John Fury, Tyson Fury, every Fury. Venues. Not imminent. Fish Eyes, Bob Arum. So that's where the hang-up is. Listen to what they're telling you. Team Fury have said the problem is the venues. So if Eddie Hearn hasn't even got a venue yet, do you know what I'm saying? But we're going to find out. Well, I'm sure we will. And it's going to be one of them ones. It's going to be peak for you, man, who tried to tell me I was wrong. Either way, moving on to this now. Tyson. Well, please, Daddy. Tyson. Daddy, please, put the video out. Put it out. Please, tell the fans it wasn't me, Daddy. You heard there the recording. I played it yesterday on the video. Tyson Fury begging his dad, John Fury, to put out a hit piece. Put out a hit piece video. Trying to reconvince the fans that it's not him ducking. Because John Fury, he don't mince his words. He came out last week on BT Sport and called a spade a spade. We don't want this fight. We don't want no smoke. We're shook to bits. The C19 regulations and section 1.7b, all that business. He did that, exposed himself, and then, as you heard just there, Tyson Fury jumped on the blower. John Fury, Daddy, please, go on to interview and tell them it wasn't me, Daddy. You heard it there again. How many times do you want the YB to play the leaked recording? I'm on some news of the world thing. Yeah, I rang what's his name? I rang Rupert Murdoch, my dog, and said, "Yo, I need them exclusive news of the world taps." That's what happened. Simple as that. Tyson Fury got tapped, and you heard the clip. 100% confirmed. 100%. If you don't believe me, you can go and ask him himself. Go and ask. I've got his name already, but go and ask the news of the world Don. I just told you about Rupert Murdoch. That's it. Go and ask Rupee. You man call him Rupert. I call him Rupee because it's one of them ones. Go and ask Rupert himself. So why have we got the links? Tap the phone, and you heard it. Begged Tyson Fury, begged his dad to go on there. He weren't big enough to do it himself. He didn't dare go on there. Because we already heard Fury slip up. Oh well, I'm not feeling well. I need a rest. Oh well, I'm sick. Again, you heard, that's another one there. Another leaked, that one was taken from his WhatsApp message. He sent that to his wife, but anyway, let's not get into the particulars here. End of the day, start of the video, you heard Fury. And what makes me laugh the most is the contradiction. What do we know? December 10th. AJ, who has a history of people ducking him. AJ said, whoever wants it can get it. If it's Fury, it's Fury. But, well, he didn't say this, but anyone who's got a bit of a brain and knows about what's going on, in AJ's mind, he's been through this many times before. Many people think it's just Wilder, but it's not. Luis Ortiz, the most feared Luis Ortiz. King Bong, yeah? King Bong Ortiz. That's how slow he is off the bong. But King Bong, slow as you like, old as you like. You know what? That's what his name is, King Bong. Do you know why? Because he's so slow. He may as well be smoked up. He may as well be. He's slow and old. He got that King Bong Ortiz. Yeah, he's so slow and old. He got that bong feel to him, ain't he? Just off the bong, just slow and spacey. In fact, look at how King Bong acted. Luis King Bong Ortiz when he was in front of Wilder, just spaced out. Mate, it's adding up now. It's all adding up. No wonder he was standing there smiling off the bong, wasn't he? Many people got it confused. Many people thought it was Luis King Kong Ortiz, but it's not. No, it all adds up like a jigsaw. Luis King Bong Ortiz. Off the bong, 100%. He bangs that bong 24/7. Just sitting there in the middle of the ring, in the middle of a fight, smiling, spaced out. Anyway, where was we? AJ, December. He washes Pulev's toupee for him. After the fight. If it's Fury, it's Fury. But King Bong Ortiz, Beyonce Wilder, even Fury himself, let's not forget. Fury, when he came out of retirement, Eddie Hearn jumped straight on the blower and said, "Yo, we got you. Tony de Belen Bellew, Dillian White." Who else was there? Was there another Don in there? No, it was them three. I think, was it? Yeah, either way. Bellend, White, and AJ. Back to back. That's bearing in, because listen, end of the day, Eddie Hearn had heard Fury was talking about, I'm gonna be the first lineal champion to come back and do it. So Eddie Hearn assumed, Fury's trying to do something legendary. And that would have been, I'll give him credit, that would have been legendary. If Fury had to come back, beat Tony Bellend, beat White, beat AJ, that would have been, in my opinion, the greatest sporting performance in history. To come out of retirement and go straight into that lineup and win, that would be the greatest sporting performance in history, in my opinion. He didn't want no smoke with that. He didn't even want a little bit. He didn't even want the bell end. Seriously, do you know how shook Fury must be? Think about it now. Seriously. Why didn't, because even at that point in time, the bell end had beaten Big Toe. So the bell end was on hype. That was in itself would have probably been a $7 to $10 million fight. More, probably. Fury said, no, I want to fight Panini for $500,000. Like, think about the psychology of that. He wouldn't even fight Bellend. Bellend was never going to knock him out. It would have just been a 12-round fight. He didn't dare do it. He wanted to go in there with a stiff, who he knew he could win against. That's the mentality of your big Fury. It's proven fact. He could have said, you know what, and I wouldn't have blamed him, you know. AJ's a bit far. Dillian's even perhaps a bit far, but I'll take Bellend. Didn't want no smoke. Wanted no smoke at Bellend. Don't even make sense. That there, in my opinion, was bad management. But it just goes to show how much Fury don't want it. Because I'm pretty sure Frank broke to bits Warren. Frank's as broke as a joke. Do you think he wouldn't have took a split on the Bellend money? Of course he would have. So anyway, I've given you that background to say that AJ is the one who historically is tired. And even though AJ's mentally strong, so he's not going to come on interviews and say, if I don't get this fight, I'm going to fall apart. Oh, please, interviewer, know that if I don't get this fight, I'm going to fall apart. Okay? You heard him there. Telling the interview, if I don't get this fight, I'm going to fall apart mentally. And that's not AJ. AJ don't get a fight. Guess what? The next top don in the ring, and we'll wash him instead. That's what I don't care what no one says. That's what true champions do. They don't whine it onto an interviewer and try and set the scene. Fury's setting the scene right now, but we're going to get to that in a second. Hold tight. Like I said, December, AJ washes Pulev. The whole history of everyone who's ducked AJ. Fury's ducked him. Ortiz ducked him. Even Dillian at the time didn't duck him, but he said no to the 5 mil. Didn't want it. Wasn't enough. Ducked it. Everyone, all the top dons ducked it apart from Ruiz. So that's AJ's history. Despite AJ's history, December happened. AJ said, you know what, whoever it is can get it. And all the Fury fans jumped on him. Even the non-Fury fans, even the alleged neutral people. I'm pretty sure Steve Bunce. Look, AJ's got a bit of cold feet. In fact, there was quite a lot of neutral so-called commentators. I think Carl the hater Froch, came out and said, I did a video on it. I'm not sure about AJ. AJ's looking a little bit mentally weak to me. That's what he said, 100%. AJ's looking mentally weak because he didn't want to commit. I didn't really like hearing that. 2-2s. So that's what happened after December 10th. That was the reaction to AJ's comments. The man who's provably had a history of people ducking him. So basically AJ, factually speaking, has earned the right to be nonchalant. Has earned the right to not really care who's next. Because number one, he don't care. He's taking it, from AJ's point of view, he's taking the best anyway. If it's not Fury, it's going to be Snover the best on. Don't make a scrap of difference to him. Fury or not, whoever's next. The best one, line him up. No problem. That's the orders AJ gives to Hearn. Get the best one in there. That's all we want, the best one. Whoever that is, if Fury want to go ducking, if Fury want to stay ducking, so be it. But despite all the history, Carl Froch, everyone else, AJ's shook. AJ's mentally broken. That's what they all said, 100%. 2-2s now. Fury. Never mind, what Fury's saying here isn't, I'll take whoever it is next. You heard him there. I'm not holding my breath. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket, because if I do, I'm going to fall apart. And that's not really true. The whole thing about, if I don't get it, I'm going to fall apart. No, read between the lines here. He don't want it. And this here is just one clip of the whole interview. Of Fury saying, it needs to be Mayweather versus Pacquiao money. If it's not Mayweather, Pacquiao 500 million, I'm not interested. The regulations. Ironically, today I heard on the news that the regs are opening up. No joke, I couldn't believe it. They were saying, this regulation's being reduced. So what are they talking about? I don't really listen to the news, but that was the first time, just by chance, when I was going to sleep, I heard it. I thought, what the? Because I don't watch the news, I heard Frank saying, it's all tightening up, and I assumed that was the truth. Today I'm hearing everything's opening up, so what's Team Fury talking about? All these regulations are tightening up. You just don't know about the future. The future's uncertain. From what I heard last night, it's the opposite. Things are getting more open. Things are getting more loosey-goosey. But that's here nor there for this video. The bottom line is on this one. Fury comes out and says, the fight's not imminent. I'm not getting my hopes up, and that's the end of that. Oh, and by the way, I'm mentally half broken already. You heard him. When I don't get the fight. So he's already setting the scene. When this fight doesn't happen, he can then say, I'm so heartbroken, but, I guess I just have to keep it moving. Do you understand? That's what the scene that's been set here. When the fight doesn't happen, he can then say, I feel so bad, and try and con the fans again. Because if he didn't set the scene this way, he's already getting backlash. So I'm not even sure how effective this is going to work. But still, from his point of view, it's damage limitation. Try and get everyone to feel sorry for me. Oh, look, Fury's struggling, let him off. It's not his fault. Oh, look, he told you he didn't want to get his hopes up. Look, he's a broken man now. Oh, let's feel sorry for him. When the real truth is, Fury's smart and strategic. He puts it all out there, knowing full well he's got no intention of fighting AJ, and then he's going to fight two bums. Or even in this interview, I'm going to do a video on it. Oh, he might even be Wilder next. How do you know? How are you so certain about Wilder, but you can't be? This doesn't make no sense. Fury is certain about fighting twice this year. He's pretty sure Wilder might be next. But you're telling me, oh, AJ's not imminent. AJ's Mayweather Pacquiao. AJ, I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm not holding my breath. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. What? You literally, you and all your so-called neutral commentator dons said AJ 3 months ago was the chicken for not putting all of his eggs in one basket. Now you've said it 3 months down the line when you're allegedly in negotiations. What do you meant to be in negotiations? How can you not be putting all eggs in one basket? Innit? Do you want this fight or not? Because regardless of how from his point of view, if Fury was genuine, from his point of view, it shouldn't matter about anything else, regulations or whatever else. All he should know, someone genuine, someone who genuinely wants this fight, they shouldn't worry about regs or whatever else. It should be, I'm putting all my eggs in one basket. I want AJ. And if it doesn't come off, for whatever reason, so be it. But from my point of view, I'm not interested in two random bum fights. I'm not interested in Wilder. It's AJ. Now, if it doesn't happen, we'll take it from there. That's what someone genuine would be saying. And funnily enough, what's Team AJ saying? We want Fury. I haven't heard nothing about it. We're gonna have two fights anyway. It's gonna be perhaps Andy Ruiz, and I haven't heard that. We want Fury next. At every stage, it's been positive. At every stage, that's all we want. Fury. Oh, we're gonna fight twice this year. That's a fact. Is it gonna be AJ? Well, I'm not putting all of my eggs in one basket. Why aren't you doing that? And the statement in itself is a contradiction, because how can you be certain about two other fights but not be certain about eight? What's the difference? Are you struggling? If you're talking about venue, if you can't find a venue, well, if you can't find a venue for AJ and Fury, how are you going to find a venue for two random bum fights? It's one thing if Fury says, well, we can't find a venue and therefore I'm out of the ring for a year. Well, fair enough. Can't argue with that. But for him to not find a venue for AJ, but then magically find venues and whatever else for two bum fights, makes no sense. And then afterwards, as I've said, he puts in there, oh, well, you know, people throw that depression word around too easily. Like, we've heard all the media spin, but I find it, I don't know. When it comes to Fury, I find it cliche. We've heard the Ferrari story. In my opinion, the way the internet is these days, it's thrown around too cheaply, in my opinion. Oh, I've been depressed. No, you just had a bit of low mood. That's my opinion. Most of these celebrity dons, they've just had low mood. Today, yeah, the way it is today, everyone on social media, they have a bit of a bad day. Oh, I'm depressed. You don't understand. Depression's actually like a clinical thing. It's not, oh, well, I had a few lines and a few drinks and I felt... No, that's not depression. That's exactly what it is. Having a few lines and having a few drinks for a few weeks. That's not depression. You know what I mean? It's just not, in my opinion. In my professional, you know what I mean? What's that word? In my doctorate opinion. This whole just jumping out of things and whatever else, in and out like a yo-yo, that's not how it works. So, I'm always skeptical of famous people and celebrities throwing this word around, especially sports people, just throwing it around. He weren't throwing this around when he was fighting Wilder, was he? Or when all the bums. He's not associating depression to fighting bums, and I had no problem doing that. Wilder. On top of the world, and I liked it, but this is what first I wasn't really critical of this until it comes up to now. Why is he reeling out the depression stuff conveniently just when we're on the precipice of getting stuff we want to see? Oh, I'm depressed. I'm not. I'm tired. I don't believe it. I don't believe it's genuine. I didn't really believe it was genuine at the time, 4 years ago, but whatever, we'll give him that if he wants it. It seems coincidental. What do we know? The Vlad fight, the Vlad rematch. That's what he reeled out for not doing that. Oh, well, I feel... Oh, I'm on a drink. So he got out of that obligation. Now he got the AJ. Oh, nah, man, it just feels tired to me. The dude was out here on social media working out every day, no problem. And now all of a sudden, the big fight, the big time to... No, and I do understand, to be fair. Obviously, he's human. I understand you've got AJ in front of you and you're shook. I'd be depressed too. I'd be shook. I'd have anxiety too. But that's the game you're in. Don't just keep dipping around it. And I understand, publicly speaking, it's going to be hard for him to come out and say, guys, fighting Wilder was cool because he's 210 pounds and he can't box and he's no good. Now I'm in there with someone who knows what they're doing. I'm just not feeling as sharp as I was. That's going to be hard for him to say. So, just retire then, innit? What I don't want to see is, you know what WBC's like, protecting their fighters. I'm sick of people nicking belts and then look what Wilder did. AJ's been chasing that WBC belt for how many years now? And the WBC have never put their foot down and said, whoever holds his belt is going to be liable for the unification. Never once. It's been about 4 years. How much longer? And because the Wilder saga's come, the Wilder saga was running out anyway. Just about. AJ was just about to get his hand on Wilder. Then the belt changed hands. So now what? Are we going to have another 4 years of Fury being allowed to mess around like Wilder did? That's the way it's looking, isn't it? Let's think about it now. Let's say the AJ fight doesn't happen next. Fury's fighting twice this year. What? WBC just going to allow it to happen? Why aren't they... Well, we'll see what happens, but I'm pretty sure I'll be disgusted if Fury doesn't do this AJ fight. The WBC must step in and say, you've been stripped. And put it out there. If you don't want to fight AJ, that's fine. You ain't fighting for this belt. The next 2 men to fight for this belt are fighting AJ. When are they going to do that and step in? It just seems like it's a big joke. Well, WBC is a big joke. Nick a belt and then run around and have all the excuses. Oh yeah, and before I go, I want to pick up on what Fury actually said, because I didn't get around to explaining it. But when he says, oh, if I don't get the fight, I get my hopes up and I end up getting depressed. When has that ever happened though? I explained to you, man, in detail all the examples of AJ bidding for fights and not getting them. Fury included. Everyone, more or less, has turned him down at some point in time. So it's understandable, AJ isn't even moaning about getting upset about not having the fights. He just couldn't be bothered to call Fury out. Even though I would have argued for him to have done that anyway, the fact of the matter is, AJ's earned the right to have that position of being nonchalant and being not bothered. He's earned it factually and statistically. When's Fury earned it? When has Fury tried for a fight and not got it? Okay, we'll give him David Haye. Literally 10 years ago. When was that? Yeah, that was 2013. 10 years ago. We're literally in the 9th year now. That happened in I think it was 2012 actually. So either way, best part of 10 years ago. Wilder fought him. Vlad fought him. He got the rematch. Makes me laugh. People are so hypocritical. If you were so worried, if you were so bothered about people getting their hopes up and not delivering, what about Vlad? How's his feelings? Didn't you hurt his feelings when you bottled the rematch? How about Wilder? What about his feelings when you bottled the third fight? What about AJ when you're being all goofy now and all in the video? So, it's all a joke. There's only one man who's ever ducked Fury, and that was David Haye, 100%. I'll give you that. Who else?